who's just stepped into the studio and enjoying himself. I'm telling you, we're going to start doing this show on and off the air. All the people watching on WGNradio.com, there's a live camera in here. If you can read lips, look out. There were like 4 lawsuits this show alone.
Some stories shared in here.
Yeah.
And wash my mouth up with soap. Soap, isn't that what you do?
Yeah.
Yes. I wash my ears out with soap.
Yeah. And usually the conversation usually ends with Anna saying to me, "Really, Rich? Really?" What? That's what happened.
Richard Roeper is in the studio with us. You know him, you love him from richardroeper.com and the Chicago Sun-Times and all the great things he does. But I got a bit of a bad warning for you here. These both Anna and our executive producer Kristen Decker, who is you hear her on the commercials. She's the one with the lovely hair. I got to say, these two are like, all they do is during the commercial breaks, they sit around, they talk about Pitch Perfect, the movie.
Yes.
How we can't wait for it to come out. I rewatched one yesterday just in anticipation.
Kristen told me if I give a negative review to Pitch Perfect 2, she's already alerted security. I'm going to be removed from the Tribune Tower and never allowed to enter again.
Don't worry, they won't get here for an hour, so it'll be fine.
As soon as they pick up their wives who work at Wrigley Field, helping you to your seat in the third inning, and you get there just in time for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. You're not supposed to be in section 134. That's for Harry Truman.
I don't By the way, now that you mentioned it, before we get to the reviews, did you see, and this is a sad story, but this is true, they just did a memorial to one of the security ladies out at Wrigley Field who passed away, who was like, I believe, 91 years old.
Was she really?
Yeah.
Still working till recently?
Yeah, I think till like last season. And they just like, and I'm thinking that it is an interesting thing. You go out there and they do have these people who were there during the last time the Cubs were in the World Series in 1945.
It's absolutely true. And, you always wonder, and they're lovely women.
They are.
But you wonder, like, sometimes they are, they're a little get off my lawn-ish, too. I mean, they will give you that. That one aunt that's always mean to you and gives you a card with no money in it for your birthday and says, go get a job. But I always wonder if a fight breaks out, they then go over and they get a landline and they dial 0. And they get me the constable. There's hijinks at Wrigley Park.
What do they do? I don't understand it. I mean, it's part of the tradition, I suppose.
It's part of the culture too. I kind of like that because they know what's exactly all the rules, what's going on at Wrigley. You're in good hands. They know where your seat is. They, and they're sweet little ladies, most of them.
And then I think they're married to the guys in the brass band that come by too.
That's possible.
The guy with the banjo.
That's true.
Right. And those guys, though, they last to be about 85, and then they're gone, and they replace them with another 84-year-old, and he's gone the next year, and it's just sort of whatever that is. All right. Anyway, but that's not why we called.
Yes.
All right. So reviewing for this weekend here in Roeper Reviews. Let's start with Pitch Perfect 2.
Oh, you want to start with Pitch Perfect 2? I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this. I did like the original. It was one of these surprise hits. It was made for almost nothing. It was actually based on a nonfiction book about the competitive world of a cappella singing. There are actually more than 1,500 a cappella singing groups in universities and colleges across the country. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? I just thought those were sexually ambiguous guys on the quad when I was walking through on my way to class. I didn't know they were actually in competition. So that was a lot of fun. Pitch Perfect 2. It's very strange because it picks up about 3 years later. They've been the national champs now, the Bellas, right? Anna Kendrick, who's the cutest little chipmunk in all the land, right?
She's so cute, a total girl crush.
Yeah, everyone loves Anna, and she can really sing. She's sung on Broadway, and of course, for those of you playing at home, a cappella means that there's no instruments whatsoever. So not only do they do the vocals, but they also kind of do the bass and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah. So in Pitch Perfect 2, it's one of the strangest movies I've ever seen in my life. I have to say, it's so bizarre. They get stripped of their national title because Fat Amy, and that's the name of the character, who's played by Rebel Wilson, right, the Australian.
Who I love.
They're doing a performance for the president, and they do cheesy cutaway shots to Barack and Michelle Obama as if they're actually in the movie, like stock footage. And she gets caught upside down wearing no underwear. Oh. So they call it, gate. And so that's how they get stripped of their title from that humiliation. But they still have to have them sing, so they let them compete in the world competition against the vaunted German team, which is made up of like 36 stormtrooping, rigid, robotic German acapellas. This is the plot of this movie. And
the first movie wasn't that dirty or sort of on the nose.
This one's kind of that one had a very kind of upbeat message. It had a little dark humor. This thing has a lot of misogynistic humor. A lot, people say, "Oh, it stars women. It's directed by a woman." Well, it doesn't mean that it's a girl power movie, even though they're trying to position it as that.
It's
There's
directed
racist
by
humor.
by Elizabeth Banks, right?
Yeah.
Who we've had on the show, a lovely woman,
and she plays half of the clueless announcing team, and she's great. But I honestly think she's a little over her head directing this. It's done in real kind of standard fashion, and then it's the choice of songs. And the first one, they did so many cool songs, right? They put hip hop songs and rock songs. This time around, I mean, for example, why would you do a medley of people singing Journey's Any Way You Want It, one of the worst songs of all time?
Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. Oh, oh, oh. She loves to laugh, she loves to sing.
All right, okay. I mean, it's an episode of Glee at that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really weird. There's some inspired moments, but there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of gay humor, and I think it's poking fun at people who are homophobic, but they're kind of having their cake and eating it too, as they say. And the one announcer, Elizabeth Banks' partner, he does a lot of immigration jokes about the Guatemalan girl who's in there, and it's just kind of a really kind of bizarre, sour touch to it. And then I just thought the choice of musical numbers was uninspired this time around.
Well, I guess maybe that's the big difference maker, because the last one I didn't think had that, and I just watched it again last night, and I felt like, okay, I still love this movie, and it still was enjoyable the second time around because of the singing. And the singing is that good, and the little mashups they do, and all the little fun stuff, and
there are some decent moments. Like at one point, the category of competition is John Mayer's girlfriend. So you have to do a song either by like Miley Cyrus or Taylor Swift or anybody who's ever been linked with him. And some guy starts, singing a Tina Turner song, and people are like, I don't think so. But you never know with John Mayer. So a little touch like that. So it's kind of a 2 stars, C to C minus. I'm giving it. I think it'll do real well, but I think the Pritch Perfectos, as you people call yourselves, are going to be disappointed.
So yeah, the people who watch the first one are definitely going to go see.
They're definitely going to go see it.
But it's not going to attract any new fans.
No, I don't. I think that's exactly right.
Okay,
that's too bad. I'm still going to go see it.
Of course you are.
Okay. Are you going to go to the theater and to the show?
I think so. This is one I probably have to go to the theater on. Yeah. And
really?
I think Kristen and I might actually go together, but she wants to go the second it's out. Friday. So
you want to go midnight? You're going to go to the midnight show?
I'm not sure I'm going to make that one.
So this is like the chastity belt version of 50 Shades of Grey. All these women are deciding to go because they're not going to get turned on. They're just getting to go there to get tuned in.
Yeah.
This is like when people went to go see that. What was the
movie with the people in it?
The movie or the show with all the songs from that Swedish.
Who's that actor?
It was more.
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
See, I can't. I have a mental block.
I hope you and I are never on the new version of $30,000 Pyramid. Come on, Rich, the movie with the guy. Bring me, go with the win. Yes, thank you.
It's like all female movies, right?
Right, it is. I can't. Like Mamma Mia. I mean, people are like, "Oh, you got to go see the show," and it was because it ran like Jersey Boys. It keeps coming back.
Sure.
No matter what you do, you can't get rid of it. And then and families I guess it was like moms and their bride to be daughters. That became the big thing. And then the movie came out, and I'm like, "Oh, we got to see it. Got to see it. And I'm like, I don't want to see anything ABBA ever. Yeah. It's like I just could never get into it.
Not for you.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Of course.
Yeah,
see, that's what it is.
Falls in that category.
All right. Speaking of things, you know what? Let's take a little break, and then we'll come back, and we'll do this the Mad Max, which is going to be very, very interesting because this is for the boys.
No a cappella singing throughout Mad Max Fury Road. Spoiler alert.
There's some, but the trailer for this, I only care about the trailer. The trailer is
then move to Northwest Indiana. Oh, we're still talking movies.
I see what you did there. All right, that's fine. All right.
Anyway you want it, that's the way you need it. Anyway you want it.
Why are you doing this to me? Might as well play something from Mamma Mia. That was an awful movie.
Let me hear it.
She does everything. She loves to move.
The singing is so great in Pitch Perfect. I don't know.
I did not know anything about a cappella bands until I met the Ponces. And the whole world changed when I met them.
And how successful it was, the one they did at Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, what is that, Straight No Chaser.
Yeah, that's right.
Which basically, I believe they named it that so they go to frat parties and still get chicks. I think is why they named that thing.
You have to reinforce that over and over again if you're in a cappella.
We're straight. Nothing wrong with it not being, but I'm just saying we're straight. All right. What do you... all right, so now, the Mad Max.
Mad Max Fury Road. That's why I wanted to come in. I told Roy I want to come in a day early and get people excited about this because I think they'll start showing it even at midnight tonight. And this is, of course, 30 years ago you had the Mad Max trilogy, and George Miller was the director of those great films with Mel Gibson before he lost his mind. And he was great in those, and they were, groundbreaking action movies. Well, he returns with Mad Max Fury Road, which is kind of set in the timeline in between like the second and third Mad Max movie. So it's not a remake, but it's a redoing and a different story. And you've got Tom Hardy, who we've talked about, one of the best actors in the world, now playing the role of Mad Max. So he's not playing his son or his grandson. He's playing the same part.
Same character.
The same character, Mad Max.
In this world that has already been created.
Yeah, this post-apocalyptic 2060 Australia-type landscape. And it's all really about the chases and the excitement. Charlize Theron is in there, too. So you've got two, world-class actors. And she plays the leader of this sort of rebel movement. And they're all trying to get away from this evil slave warlord dude, who's one of the more bizarre characters you've ever seen. So we do have one of the few moments in the movie where it isn't all action. But here's Tom Hardy as Mad Max and Charlize Theron and kind of plotting their way of getting out from under the thumb of the evil ruler.
How do you know this place even exists?
I was born there.
So why'd you leave?
I didn't. I was taken as a child. Stolen.
You done this before?
Many times. Now that I drive a war rig, this is the best shot I'll ever have.
And them?
They're looking for hope.
What about you?
Redemption.
So she's got a war rig, all these cool souped up vehicles that are part truck, part tank, part muscle car. And one of the great things about this movie, and I love this film, it's one of the best action movies ever made in the history of cinema. It's right up there with any movie you can think of. And one of the things I love about it is more than 90% of what you're seeing in this movie is what they call practical effects, which means no CGI and no post-production magic. It's really done with these rigs, with these crazy chase scenes. And George Miller's such a great director. He knows enough. He just, instead of all those quick cuts that you get in the Fast and Furious movies where Vin Diesel's not really driving that car 500 feet in the air.
Right.
He does all these long shots where you can see all these cars swooping in. And then these close-ups where you can see it's really the actors. And the chase sequences are out of this world. It's as if you gave a 12-year-old boy $150 million and said, make the movie you want to see. Because in addition to all the crazy chase sequences, Charlize Theron's character is transporting 5 incredibly beautiful women who are wearing just a little bit of gauze, and they're the slave wives of the evil warlord. Oh. So you have all these women, all these beautiful supermodels who look like they're on their way to a GQ shoot or a Vogue shoot in the back of this war rig, but they got the guns going too, and the spears and the knives, and they're taking on the men. And Charlize Theron is at least as much Mad Max as Mad Max is. She's totally badass. Great, amazing action sequences. Stuff, you're watching it and you're going, how did they do this? It's just so cool, so badass. It's complete action. It really is probably 85% chase and battle sequences in this movie. It's so well done.
See, the thing is that, first of all, this is the director who brought us Happy Feet.
Yes.
Right?
Weird.
Yes.
I mean, how is that? And Babe.
And
Big
Babe.
in the City.
Fortunately, he did not get the footage mixed up, so there's not a moment where a trail of penguins get in the way of one of these war rigs, because that would be horrible. So George Miller's in his 70s, too. I mean, this guy's been around for a long time. Clearly, he can do all different kinds of movies.
Well, isn't that the point, that maybe he decided to do this with the practical because he has the people and the skills to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, and he's showing the kids how it's done. When you see this, it just makes all these other action movies that we see, they're all very well done, but it's so much of that is just done with computers and animation art and all kinds of special effects. And the fact that they created these crazy ass vehicles with all kinds of weird, I mean, one truck, one of the warlord's truck has a guy strapped to the grill playing the electric guitar just because you want to have a guy like that. So he's providing a soundtrack with his guitar for everyone. Like, the drum and bugle corps where you got these guys who are going, he's doing it with the guitar.
All right, say that again. Your description of this movie is what? The best? What?
One of the best action movies ever made.
Oh, wow.
Right up there. I think, huge. I mean, I'm saying 4 stars, A+. I think the Academy needs to get with the times. This should receive a Best Picture nomination. They never really recognize comedies or action movies. You look at something like Die Hard, routinely considered to be one of the best action movies of all time, right? Always right up there. Hardly got any nominations, and it should have. And this movie should get nominated for Best Picture.
Could this beat the Avengers domestic box office, do you think, because it's so good?
I think no, I don't think it won't have quite that, broad appeal. I think,
you have to be a
lot of women love the Avengers movies too. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of stereotyping, but I think you really got to be into a little more hardcore action. So I think that'll take away a little bit. But worldwide and here, it'll do really, really well.
Very quickly, I know we're up against the clock here, but very quickly, there's a documentary out also about the life of the guy who plays Big Bird.
Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but it's called I Am Big Bird. Check it out. I think you can get it on demand as well as in the theaters. There's a man by the name of Carol Spinney. He's the only guy who ever played Big Bird, and he's 81, and he's still playing Big Bird. And it's an amazing look behind the scenes about the entire life and times of Big Bird.
And you told us a little nugget of this, that this is an act, how he actually has to perform Big Bird, the physical position he has to put himself in, is one that I couldn't. 30 years younger than this guy.
One arm over your head working the beak and the eyes, the other arm down below working the hands. He's watching everything on a TV monitor within the costume. He has to memorize all his lines, and he's walking around on those giant feet and has to make sure he doesn't step on any of the other characters in Sesame Street, because that would be tragic. That would be Sesame Street Godzilla.
Yeah, that would frighten a lot of children.
All right. Okay. That sounds amazing. I really want to see that too.